Everyone. I'm sorry I couldn't introduce myself before. I have a cough that won't quit. I'm currently sucking on a cough drop, if you can't tell. But now I can actually talk without coughing up a lung. So I thought I would introduce myself. I'm Miss Keen. I'm your instructor for History 1302. Um, I really just wanted to also talk about your jungle papers. Overall, very well done. A couple things though. Number one, please read the directions. A few of you didn't quite get to the page count or word count. Remember, this was a much longer paper, so it's 3 to 4 pages. Also, remember that you need to use a theme, okay? The themes in the class, I kind of gave you a few examples in the directions. There are things like freedom, that's the big thing that Fauner keeps beating us all over the head with. Also called liberty. We can debate the similarity and differences in those two words. Also, things like immigration, race, gender. Gender, just so we are all on the same page, does not just mean women or female, it also means male, masculinity. Okay, so just bear that in mind for future reference. Also, things like government and how much authority the federal government should have versus the state government versus individualism. We also have capitalism, which a lot of you picked up on in the jungle paper. Very good. Immigration was a big one in that as well. So those are the themes, some of the themes. There are a lot more themes. And what I wanted you to do was to engage with the novel based in one of those themes, and many of you did that. The other really big thing is that, remember, this is an essay, and for an essay, you need to have a thesis. I call it an argument because in history we like to argue with each other, nicely, of course, but we like to argue. And so you need to have that argument in your introductory paragraph, okay? You really shouldn't worry about summary. Your summary should not be more than a sentence or two. And really, you could think of it like a newspaper, right? If you read the newspaper, a good newspaper, your lead sentence, it's usually like no more than 30 words long and it summarizes the whole thing, okay? Um, I don't need a summary. I've read the book many, many times. So you don't need to worry about the summary. What you need to do is worry about the argument and how you're going to use the document, in this case, the novel, The Jungle, to prove your argument. Now, I don't care what your stance is as long as you have one. I don't have to agree with you. The whole exercise is for you to be able to analyze um, a, a document. In this case, it would technically be a primary source document about the time, letting me know that you understand what was going on, what the concerns were of the time, and what is happening in the novel, not the surface happenings, not the plot happenings, but the underpinnings, right? In The Jungle, Upton Sinclair is arguing about capitalism, right? And its corruption, wealth, right? The great disparity between the very, very wealthy and the very, very poor, primarily immigrants, right? The poor, awful conditions of the immigrants. Um, yes, uh, it turns out that The Jungle really hit people in a way that he didn't necessarily intend. He wanted people to feel poorly about the immigrants, to feel bad for them, and to hopefully spur them into action to help immigrants in their conditions. But really, what the novel did was spur um, action into the food industry, which is a good thing, right? Now we're not eating humans or parts of humans and things like that. We're not eating terrible chemicals. Well, we could argue that, but I'm not going to get into that. Where it's better than it used to be in some cases. Um, but it was primarily about immigration and capitalism, and many of you picked up on that. And your argument should have been related to a theme, and it should have been proven using scenes from the book, quotations from the book, characters, right? Also, many of you did have arguments, but they were way down at the bottom. So a lot of times your conclusion should have actually been your introductory paragraph. If you're wondering about that, I made comments on those when you had that issue. So if you check your grade, there should be a comment box or something for you to check. And then I also highlighted what I thought your argument was. Okay. The thing about the argument is, again, it needs to be in the introduction. And if you don't put it in the introduction, then a lot of the rest of the paper just feels like summary. That's how it comes off. So you need the introduction in the beginning so that the reader knows what you're trying to say. Okay. Don't forget to use evidence. You can also use Fonner. Your main source for these types of things should be the document itself. But it's okay to go to Fonner and say something like, if you're talking about immigration, the poor conditions of immigration as Fonner relates in chapter blah, 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 can be seen in the novel The Jungle, in this scene, blah, blah, blah. Okay? That's perfectly fine. It's perfectly good. In fact, that helps bolster your argument. Okay? Makes it more history-based rather than literary-based. But I didn't expect that from you. I didn't lay that out. I'm perfectly fine with you just sticking with the document. Okay? Just saying you can. A couple of you did, and that was great. I didn't add points or take points away for that since I didn't talk about it at all. My main concern is for you guys to engage with the documents, the text, and just see what we're learning about and how that relates to the documents, okay? And also to get your critical thinking skills and analysis skills going. It's not just for history. Those skills are great in every profession, and they're used in every profession, and historians work in every profession. Because of our critical thinking and analysis skills. Those are the two big skills that all employers want. Okay. I think that's it. Hopefully my cough goes away completely, or at least stays dormant so that I can talk a little. And I will start having weekly videos as I intended, to sort of introduce you to the week and go over some of the stuff we're discussing. The rest of the semester should be pretty easy. Most of the hard stuff, the primary source, secondary source, and the big novel are all done. Most of the rest of the semester is just a couple of media activities and discussions until your final, which is just a short excerpt from a memoir, which we will go over later. Okay. So you guys should have pretty smooth sailing from here on out. I did that on purpose. I didn't want to overload you when other professors tend to overload you, which is, towards your finals. So I hope that was okay. If you didn't turn in The Jungle, I will still let you do that. I do not like to fail students. So you can turn it in, but it's going to be for a very much reduced grade. At this point, you probably won't get more than a 70, but 70 is better than a 0, okay? Especially on something that is such a big point as this. Okay, I'm going to be quiet now. I'm going to leave. I'm going to go finish my pumpkin spice latte and finish watching Forensic Files. I will see you all next week. Bye.